of a kind of, like I said, an introspection or a reflection, and like you think about the positive things since and the negative things since, and like, but I think, like you said, like at the time you used the word survive. I think that's, you just, at the time you're just like, it's like, I need to survive here now, and there's no time for getting upset, because there'll be, you know, like if you get through it, you've the rest of your life for it, like, you know. So like I don't know, and like I said, I hate saying it sometimes in the sense that I don't want it to sound flippant, or that, you know, that it's like you just do it, like, you know, like you just have to, like, you know.
That was Jimmy Wall in conversation with Sarah O'Donovan. Hurling on Off the Balls with Bord Gais Energy, proud sponsors of the Senior Hurling Championship. Delighted to say we have with us in studio the ex-Leitrim hurler and Bord Gais ambassador, Zak Moradi. Zak, you're very welcome.
Thanks for having me, John.
Good to see you. What did you make of Limerick last weekend? Something else? 4 in a row?
They're just a brilliant team. They're physically big. They're very skillful. I always say they'll beat you in a fight and they'll beat you in a hurling match as well. They can mix it up, and they're going to be very hard to stop in the next year or two, because the team is very young. But at the same time, never write off Kilkenny, and everyone last year they're gone. They keep coming back. They should be they're a county to lead by example. You know, small county, and they just never give up. They keep going.
Who impressed you on the Limerick team?
You know what? I love Cian Lynch as a hurler. He just the way he plays the game. He seems to do the right thing all the time, and he doesn't seem to be. Looks like he moves slow, but he looks like a slow hurler. But when you're actually on the pitch watching him, different kettle of fish. He's just a brilliant hurler to watch. You know, the whole Limerick team are just, even the subs that come on, they remind me a bit like the Dublin footballers.
Yeah.
Where they have good subs coming on. They're right, yeah. Even better, even the subs that are coming on.
Yeah.
But they'd be hard to beat now, to be fair, in the next couple of years, because they're young. But never write off, you know, teams like Cork or Tipperary,
Well, Munster's hard to get out of, isn't it? That's the issue for Limerick. Once they got out of it, they were able to get to Croke Park, but even getting out of Munster was almost the most difficult thing this year for them.
As well, yeah, Munster's very hard to get out of it. But then I thought Clare were going to, give a better performance against Kilkenny. Everybody says how great Clare were, but then I even was talking to a few of my friends from Clare. I said, but Clare haven't played that much in Croke Park. Croke Park is a big pitch.
Yeah.
You know, you need a different type of fitness, different type of hurling for Croke Park. It's so big. And like Limerick, Kilkenny, and Dublin, they're all used to Croke Park.
Did you win the Laurie Mar at Croke Park?
We did, yeah. And I remember even 2017, we played there. And Warwickshire were a fitter team, and they were better than us. But it was just completely different. We were shocked how big it was, because you're not used to it's just a different atmosphere, and the pitch is huge compared. I don't know, it just looks huge. Maybe we have played on probably smaller pitches, but
different to Carrick On Shannon.
I think it's just different to everywhere. It's just different. It's just you need to get used to it. You know, it's like at club level, everybody wants to get a home game at club level, and they're so used to it. Clubs always have more chance to win a home game. Same with inter-county games.
Yeah.
But Croke Park is now nearly like for Limerick, Kilkenny, Dublin. Dublin. It's nearly a home game for them.
That's interesting, because Micheál Donoghue deliberately wanted the Dubs to go into Croke Park this summer rather than Parnell Park.
Yeah.
And maybe in the next couple of years that'll benefit Dublin, because they play very well against Galway in the championship. And that's definitely a good point. For listeners who don't know, Zak, you're from Kurdistan. You came to Ireland as a refugee from Iraq 21 years ago. You spoke to Joe Malloy on the programme before. No English. You ended winning the Laurie Mar, as we said there, with Leitrim. You're now with Dublin. You're coaching Thomas Davis in Tala. You've written a book, Life Begins in Leitrim, which came out last year. I suppose this journey is not something you would have imagined when you were small.
No, it was. I wasn't sure. I didn't know where I was going till I arrived in Ireland. Obviously, my parents went through a lot of hardship. Nearly eight years of war non-stop. Over probably 2 million people died in that war.
The Iran-Iraq war.
The Iran-Iraq war, that went on for 8 years, and then I was born in the Gulf War in 1991. The night I was born, NATO and the Americans were bombing Iraq for 48 days, 48 nights, and my parents used to sleep outdoor for that 40 days. It was too dangerous to stay in their homes. Survived that, and then obviously we came 2002 Ireland, nearly a couple of months later, 2003, then the invasion happened so they would have nearly probably got caught up in another war, but thankfully we're one of the survivors that got out in time, and many other people actually from that camp ended up in a refugee camp in tents in between what's called the no man's land between Iraq and Jordan. So some of them spent about 4 years there, and they all got relocated all around Europe. So thankfully everybody got out. You just don't know where you end up. You just don't know what comes to your doorstep. It's similar to Ukrainians. All of a sudden there's 20 million Ukrainians, probably 30 million Ukrainians, refugees all around the world now. That's what war does. You just don't know.
How welcoming were the people of Ireland to you?
They're very welcoming people. I always find that Irish people are very welcoming people. I know the country is cold, but the people are warm. I think the Irish people understand the history, their own history as well. If you go back about the famine and even about 100 years ago about immigration, and obviously being the same with when Irish people were leaving, obviously probably they were leaving for jobs and to live in a better life, and so but refugees are probably a little bit more different. They're forced to flee. It's not like they decide, we'll just leave and go get a job in another country. It doesn't work that way in the Middle East. It's very hard to leave your own country in the Middle East. I say if you got caught trying to leave your own country, you'd be put in prison for about 6 months. I know a lot of people might think it's just people leaving their own country. It's not that easy, Obviously, I think there's about 100 million people that are refugees around this world because of war and persecution. And when people knock on your door, to look for help, you have to help them. It's like Ireland, go back to, probably a couple of 100, 200 years ago when the Oman Empire, they helped the Irish people as well. The Oman Empire wasn't just the Turkish people, it was Arabs, Kurds, we were all part of that Oman Empire. So what goes around, it comes around, it's even I was in Kurdistan there, we were in Kurdistan of Iraq there about 2 months ago, and I visited a refugee camp where my parents were actually there. It was called Arbat refugee camp. My parents were actually refugee in that camp 40 years ago, and now that camp is still there. And I ended up talking to people, and they were I used to live in Ramadi. I was born in Ramadi in a refugee camp, and that camp I visited, there was a lot of Syrian Arabs and Syrian Kurds that were refugees, but including Arabs from Ramadi. There were refugees in that camp. What surprised me, and these people, Arabs from Ramadi, they all lived like kings back in where we were in a refugee camp. They lived in big houses, big cars, but now all of a sudden when I was looking at them, they had nothing, so I was just showing, I was like them. And I remember even people say, we were in Iraq, obviously we were in a dictatorship country, but
Saddam Hussein, yeah.
Saddam Hussein, and sometimes you see people, someone like Donald Trump is saying, we should have left Saddam Hussein in power, but Saddam used to kill people behind the scenes you would have never heard of. He killed, 186,000 Kurdish people that went missing between 1980 to 86. It's called the Anfal campaign.
Yes.
And these people are still, some of them are buried alive and never seen again. And even including, people are giving out about, some lad from Iraq burned the Quran in Sweden. Saddam Hussein burned down 4,500 mosques and 4,500 villages in Kurdistan of Iraq. And he must have burned about 20,000 Quran with all them mosques that was full of Quran.
Yeah, okay.
And we didn't see any uproar around the world,
Sure.
And that's kind of annoys me,
So you're moving to Leitrim. It's a completely different world, a new life for you. How soon before you pick up a hurl?
So I was 11 when I started in primary school. I was in 5th class, I think it was the time. Yeah, it was in 5th class. Obviously I didn't even know what a hurl was. It was just something different. I used to be used to playing other sports, but hurling was just different. And I picked up the Gaelic very quick enough now, to be fair. But then the hurling was just difficult to pick up. I think it's like majority of kids now, even I've done coaching in Thomas Davis GA Club at the kindergarten, over the years, and coaching kids teams, and I always notice when you're trying to coach kids Gaelic or hurling, they always find the hurling a lot more difficult. If you need to be more patient and put in a lot more work if you want to be a hurler. But it was a challenge for me, and I just the more I got into the hurling, the more I fell in love with the game, and I just love hurling. I love Gaelic as well, but hurling is just, I enjoy watching more hurling, and I think hurling is just a more enjoyable game to play. Even have a lot of friends that play football, and they always say hurling is just a different game.
Being part of a team, being part of a group of lads as a teenager, then did that help with the challenges you would have had, obviously, around language, about integrating, about just being in a completely new place?
Well, I say I came over diversity, and because of GAA, because of hurling. All the lads I started playing hurling with when I was younger, from Leitrim, or football from Leitrim, I'm still friends with these lads. I still see them. I'll go to their weddings. I'll still see them now and again. I'll meet them for pints. And same with lads I've grown up in Thomas Davis GA Club. It's just the GA is like it's like a big massive family. I know it's called big community, but it's a big family. Everybody knows each other, and everybody looks out for each other. Whether it's jobs. It's and that's what amazes me about the sport, and that's why it's one of the best sport in the world. So
you're giving back your coaching, what, under 14s now?
I'm with the under 14s now. Yeah,
on the skills of the game, and you're playing league matches, so around Dublin.
Well, we play, games in hurling. Obviously we play against other clubs, and we're just looking. Thomas Davis and Tala, we're just trying to get more kids involved playing GAA.
Is it mainly a soccer catchment area?
Well, Shamrock Rovers are next door, but we still have over 96 teams in Thomas Davis. We don't have I know sometimes people say we're in Tala, we have a big patch around us. We actually don't. We work off 3 primary schools beside us, and because up the road we have St. Anne's, and then Ballybowden across the road, and you have Jews, then you have Kevin's, and you have Anne's. But we're probably one of the better clubs in Tala that have, a lot of hard work goes in. And when the lads was only in the club, the club GPO were saying that if we had to pay all the coaches in the club the amount of volunteer hour they put in the club, coaching kids team and all that, if we had to pay them all minimum wage, it would cost 1.2 million a year.
Yeah,
it just shows
the volunteer ethic and
the volunteer ethic, and I'm sure that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, and our pitch is hard to get access to at times.
It is. We could, we're thankful to the South Dublin County Council for sport and obviously the grants we get, but we still have a pitch line there. Our Astro needs, about €300,000 to do the Astro up again, because it's due a renovation in the new surface, and then we have a new pitch. Then it's going to cost about 700 grand to do it, so we could do with more funding. We don't, and sometimes I know people say it's not all about money, but sometimes money can fix a lot of problems. It can, we're a volunteer organisation, and the club is for the community, it's for everybody. When you go up on a Saturday morning, you have 300 or 400 kids up there in the kindergarten. But if we could do with more funding from Sports Ireland or the government, in the end of the day, them pitches, I don't own it. It's for everybody.
You touched upon Ukraine there and the refugees from that war-torn country that have come to Ireland, Zach, and there might be a family with children listening to this programme right now and making the best of a new life. What advice would you offer these people if they wanted to integrate with their new community and maybe get involved in a local GA club?
I say it's up to it depends where they live, and it's up to the community to help them. And obviously when they start in primary schools or secondary school, it's up to the obviously GA coaches in the school to get them involved and bring them up and let them try a new sport and take it from there. And that's the way I was given a chance, and I was given a chance and I fell in love with the game, and I'm still playing. I used to play soccer and all that, no interest. I noticed the big difference between GA and soccer. GA is for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a good player or a bad player, or you're weak or you're strong. It's for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're not even able to strike a ball. In the GA, they'll always find you you'll always get a game. You know, there's always a game for you. They'll always give you a game. You know, that's why I remember when I was playing soccer. I remember there was lads standing on the sideline and never even get a look.
Maybe that's because of ultimately the professional pathway of soccer versus the amateur pathway of Gaelic games.
Maybe that's what it is, and maybe that's why there's more people playing GA, and that's why it's the number one sport in this country. And
21 years ago, you're here now, and Leitrim and then Dublin. Zak, do you feel Ireland is as welcoming in 2023 from the observations you've had than it was when you arrived?
I think it's still the same. I think it's just, my opinion is probably still the same. I think it's just now it's a little bit harder now to get access to, obviously, you know, price of rent, and you know, I know people are just, you know, people are giving out. We need more homes built and more apartments. We need more places for, because the population of the country has grown, and sometimes you might get small tiny minority blaming obviously refugees or immigrants coming in here. You know, we're always being short of the housing crisis in this country last I don't know how many years, but we just need to, you know, build more homes in this country, and I think we'll sort a lot of things out, and once people have a place to live, you know, everything will be sorted.
Have you seen many new kids picking up a hurling talent?
Oh, there is. Every year we get new kids, you know, from obviously, I've noticed in Dublin GA, I've noticed every club have one or two from different nationalities playing the sport, which is great, you know. And it's, you know, the face of GA is changing. It's going to take a bit of time. They mightn't all be playing inter-county hurling or football, but there's a lot of them playing in club level in hurling and football, and same with soccer. You see the face of the soccer or rugby in Ireland's changing, and the face of the GA is going to change as well.
In terms of Leitrim, where was your position mainly? Were you a back? Were you a forward? Were you midfield? What was your favourite position?
Favourite, I was midfield.
And the game has changed, even maybe when you were playing Laurie Marr in the last few years, that it's now become more of a systems game as opposed to a game which is about getting the ball, the slitter, as far as you could down the pitch and then working it out from there. Yeah,
the game has changed, and I was only talking to one of the lads up the club, and I was like, I remember whereas hurling or football in Dublin, even, they used to pick best players, you know. They used to send out two lads for a trial, you know. It doesn't work that way anymore. I think the game has changed. They don't pick best players anymore. They don't go that way anymore. I think they're like, even I noticed when you send 5 or 6 lads for, just say, under 16 Dublin trial, that doesn't mean they always pick the best player. They always pick a fella, oh, he looks like a cornerback, he seems very quiet, he's disciplined. They go for fellas like that.
They pick players maybe to fit the system.
To fit the system, yeah.
Flair players.
Yeah, so they pick players to fit the system, obviously. They don't pick best players anymore. And I've noticed that with even the Dublin hurling as well. The last couple of years, they don't pick best players anymore. They pick players, oh, he's a cornerback, or he's a fullback. You know, maybe that's the whole system has changed that way.
Can you see a place where Dublin hurling gets back to where it maybe was 10 years ago, won a Leinster title, won a club with Coola 5 years ago? Have you seen signs of that at all?
I think one of the things in Dublin hurling is, when I get out to the country, down to Tip and down the country, watch hurling matches, even at club level games, the referees down the countryside, they let the game flow. The whistle is not blown much. In Dublin, it's stop and start. I was watching, even our club were playing the Senior B Hurling Championship against Ballybowden there, the other night up the club. And I was just there watching. I said, you know what, I'll time it for, you know, and the game did not flow for more than 30 seconds. And I say there was about 30 frees, but out of that 30 frees, I say it was probably 4 frees in the whole game. It just, I don't know, like, there is good hurling. We have 6 or 7 great hurling referees in Dublin, like Sean Stack, Chris Mooney and them, and now they're refereeing inter-county games. But I think we need more kind of letting even a juvenile section. We were playing a hurling match under 14 there about a month ago, and we were playing, I think it was Bray Emmets, I think it was. We were playing a league match. Like, I think we won by about 16, 17 points, but I was not happy. I was like, because the game didn't flow. because I was saying if some of these lads go out trial with Dublin, get onto the Dublin team hurling, just say under 14 or 15, then they're going out to play against Kilkenny. The lads in Kilkenny, the referee, the game just flows. There's no little stupid tap. It's not a free. It's just no one gets killed, no one gets hurt. Sometimes if you go by the rules, if you go by every single rule, little tap, little free, the game just, you won't enjoy playing it, you won't enjoy watch it. I think that's the difference. And then when these lads are playing on Dublin under 16 hurling team or minor, and the next thing they're going down to Limerick, and they'd be hard, you'd be tough, they lay into them because they're afraid to do a tackle because they think it's going to be a free. I think we need more kind of in Dublin. I think it's with hurling. I'm not criticising the referees, but I'm just saying I think they could do letting the game flow a bit more at club level or underage at senior, because down the whole country, and you're down in Limerick and Tip and Cork and Kilkenny and all that, the game just flows. I get down, they've mates play club level and all down in Wexford. It's just a different, and I think in Dublin hurling, that's what we need. And I think it's similar with our Dublin senior hurling teams. I say, the referees, even at senior level, they need to let the game flow. I was watching Vincent Ballybowden. There's a lot of frees, and you could say they could let the game
flow a bit more.
Yeah.
Life Begins in Leitrim, from Kurdistan to Croke Park, was your book you brought out last year, Zach, and your personal story is obviously something you've touched upon here with me. But also Leitrim, the journey of the so-called weaker counties, that's important to tell as well, isn't it? Because they don't get a look in sometimes. Yeah, and sometimes sometimes we always show Division 1 games and 2s. I think there's no harm, like RT or Tina team, show a Division 3B hurling match. Show Sligo and Leitrim. You mightn't get 5,000 people, you might get 200, but it's the best way to promote the game in that county. And it's not all about I don't know, is it about funding, making money? But I think we need to show a lot more games at the weaker counties if we want to promote. It's a national sport as well, so they need to, one game a year is not going, even 2 games a year at that level. There's no point, when like even Monaghan and Lancashire, getting 15 second on the Sunday games, and the next thing is just it's always a resources thing, isn't it? So what's next for you now, Zach? You say you're to be doing a movie, and what's the plan now for you going forward? Just keep coaching just keep going with the flow. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's match. So you'll be in the Dublin corner. A lot of people are saying who you were supporting for. I was like, I said I play with the Dublin development squad under 14, 15, 16. I said I've worn the Dublin jersey before underage, so I'm a big Dublin supporter, but obviously I want Dublin to win. Yeah, it's interesting because I thought you were wearing a Leitrim top when you came in, but it's actually Thomas Davis, the same kind of colours as Leitrim. I support Thomas Davis, Leitrim, and then Dublin. But I'm here most of my life in Dublin, so. Well, Zach, whatever's immediately ahead, we wish you the best of luck with it. Thanks for coming in, Bord Gais Energy Ambassador Zak Moradi, and the book is called Life Begins in Leitrim, from Kurdistan to Croke Park. You enjoyed doing it? I did, yeah. It was great. It took a bit of time, but I enjoyed every bit. You got there in the end. Thanks so much, Zach. We're going to hear from the lads who are on the football pod on Thursday on Off the Ball here after this.
Hurling on Off the Ball
with Bord Gais Energy. Hurling, it's anyone's game.